Hello, everybody. All right, welcome to the Mikestand. Today, of course, is Friday, April the 10th, 2026. Of course, meaning that we're through the first full week of April here. Hopefully, everybody's had a good week here. As and of course, we're going to give people a chance to come in before we get started. Again, friendly reminder as always, if you guys haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. I'll try to answer the questions best of my ability. As always, even if we run a little short on the stories, again, feel free to ask questions or bring up any topics in the realm of anime, anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling, Uh, anyways, hopefully everyone's had a good week here, and you're getting ready for the weekend. Um, I know we're just coming off Easter, and I know at least here where I'm at in Southern California, at least in my neighborhood, in my area, they just had their spring break is finishing out this weekend, so the kids will be back to school this Monday. So, um, anyways, let's see. 2 minutes 17 seconds. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go off camera here for a quick moment. I'll be right back, but I will put some music on to keep you guys entertained while I'm going. Um, when I get back, we'll probably get started. Alrighty, then I'm back. So let's talk about what's on tap for tonight. So I do have one article I'm going to go over from Me TV Tunes tonight, as find out a little bit about how Mel Blanc came up with Yosemite Sam's vocalizations. Um, how he came up with And apparently it was due to a road rage incident, I guess. But let's see. Aside from that, of course, sorry about that. Anyways, aside from that, of course, unless I can find something else to talk about as well, after that article, we'll probably get into the wrestling wrap up and then look back at this day in each history. As always, again, if anything's on your mind in terms of in the realm of anime, cartoons, comics, manga, pro wrestling, feel free to chime in and ask questions or comment or what have you. And of course, as always, if you haven't already, if you guys can help out by liking and sharing the stream, so we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything here grabs your attention, feel free to comment and or ask questions. So, with all that being said, why don't we go ahead and get started to our article tonight here. Alrighty then. So, Road Rage inspired Mel Blanc's voice for Yosemite Sam. The secret to a perfect Yosemite Sam impression is screaming. Article published April 7th, 2026, which of course was this past Tuesday by MeTV2 staff. So there's Yosemite Sam right there. Let's get into this. Have you ever been stuck in traffic and wanted to scream at the top of your lungs? Maybe you've gotten cut off and felt compelled to scream something like, quote, "Watch where you're going, you crazy galoot," unquote. Or, quote, "Say your prayers, varmint," unquote. Of course you have. Everyone has, including Mel Blanc, the man of 1,000 voices. Mel Blanc. The man of 1,000 voices turned a moment of road rage into a stroke of genius, inspiring his performance of one of his greatest characters, Yosemite Sam. And of course, since we are talking about Yosemite Sam, feel free to share any of your favorite moments, your favorite cartoons that Yosemite Sam was featured in, particularly Hair Trigger, his first one. And we will. So, Yosemite Sam was developed because Elmer Fudd was not challenging enough for Bugs. Audiences liked Elmer, but Bugs was running circles around him, and it was beginning to feel a little pathetic. I mean, yeah. Elmer was kind of looked at as being kind of a little bit more, when you compare the two, maybe a little bit more simple-minded, where Sam was a little bit more aggressive. Director Fritz Frayling set about creating a new, feisty, ornery character who could provide more of a fair fight for Bugs. Let's see now. Where were we? Mel Blanc recalled seeing Frayling's sketches in his book, That's Not All, Folks. Quote, "When Fritz first showed me the rough sketches, I had to laugh, for Sam was ridiculous looking, not much more than an oversized cowboy hat, roosting atop um, eyes that peered out from under bushy eyebrows. A bulbous nose and a droopy, flaming red mustache that would take head shears to trim. Yeah, that beard of his that mustache did look pretty bushy. It did look pretty thick. Nobody, I think, can argue that point. Blank also noticed that Yosemite Sam appeared to be a caricature of his creator, Fritz Frayling, who was short and had a, in smaller quotes here, hair trigger temper. So Blank, developing the voice so that Yosemite Sam wouldn't sound exactly like Frayling, quote, I originally bestowed the truncated desperado with a mild western drawl, but neither the director nor I was pleased with it, unquote. Blank wrote, quote, practicing the voice while tooling down Santa Monica Boulevard one day. I was cut off by another driver and yelled at him with all the volume I could muster. It occurred to me in small quotes, that's what Sam should sound like. On smaller quote, volume was just the ticket. So basically, he figured he'll make he'll make it better by making it louder. With the voice secured, they began making Yosemite Sam Looney Tunes. Suddenly, Sam was very popular, not just with Bugs, but with other characters like Daffy Duck and Speedy Gonzales. But over time, screaming his way through recording sessions began to take its toll on Blank. Now, mind you, Yosemite also starred opposite, of course, like Granny. There are actually a couple of episodes where he starred opposite Granny and Bugs, in which Granny would portray like an heiress or a rich old lady, and he'd try to get in on her money. Actually, there was one where it was Granny, and then there was one where they made the rich lady in question a totally new character and had a son, and of course, still voiced by the late great June Foray, as it were. For that, so Honey's Millions, I believe, is the one I'm thinking of. With a voice, okay, yeah. Quote: Yosemite's vociferousness makes his the toughest voice for me to perform. Imagine screaming at the top of your lungs for an hour and a half, and I have an idea, and you have an idea of what it's like. Unquote. Despite having a wildly strong throat, and rarely succumbing to sore throats, Blank would grow hoarse after voicing Yosemite Sam. I think anybody would. Anybody, even those of us who do have very strong, loud voices, would have a hard time of it if we were screaming at the top of our lungs for like hour and a half, 2 hours at a time. It's like yikes. I do need to go off camera here again for a moment, so I'm gonna go off camera here, but I'll put some music on for you guys real quick while I'm gone. All right, I'm back. So, anyways, let's get back to the article here. Let's see now. Blank would grow hoarse after voicing Yosemite Sam. Frayling and Blank came up with a practical solution, recording Yosemite Sam lines last. Even with this solution, Blank admitted, Honorary hombre, Yosemite Sam is the hardest character for me to voice, unquote. Watch Bugs Bunny and Friends on MeTV Tunes, weekdays at 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 Central, 6 a.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 p.m. Pacific. Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. And Sundays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 9 a.m. Pacific. All right, so let's see. All right, so first off, let me see if, just by mere chance, of course, if there was any new, any newer articles that popped up on MeTV Tunes here. Nope, I guess not. All right, since we are talking about Yosemite Sam a little bit, we are talking about him. Why don't we take a little bit more in-depth look at Yosemite Sam? Take a look back on his history a little bit, since we do have a little extra time here. Why don't we go ahead and kind of remind ourselves of just who Yosemite Sam is? Alrighty then. So let's look a little bit more in depth at who Yosemite Sam is. First off, let's go over here and see So, first appearance, Hair Trigger, May 5th, 1945, 80 years ago. Created by Fritz Frayling, voiced over the years, initially by Mel Blanc from 1945 to 1989, then Joe Lasky in 88, 90 to 92, 95 to 97, 04 to 5, 10 to 11. Jeff Bergman from 1989 to 1993, 97, 2 to 4, 14, 21. Charlie Adler in 1990. Greg Bergson, 91, 94, 96 to 98. Maurice Lamarck, 91 to 2017. Jim Cummings, 96 to 97, 2000 to 2014. A lot of people just basically, though. So, in-universe information: species human, gender male, occupation outlaw, cowboy, sailor, gunslinger, pirate. Relatives: Ophiuchus, Sam, descendant. All right, so let's look a little bit about who Yosemite Sam is. Let's kind of remind ourselves of who Yosemite Sam is here. Yosemite Sam is a cartoon character in the Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies series of short films produced by Warner Brothers. His name is taken from Yosemite National Park in California. His real name is Aloysius Bartholomew Sam. He is an adversary of Bugs Bunny and his archenemy alongside, as Bugs' archenemy, alongside Elmer Fudd. He is commonly depicted as a mean-spirited and extremely aggressive gunslinging outlaw or cowboy with a hair-trigger temper and an intense hatred of rabbits. Bugs in particular. In cartoons with non-Western themes, he uses various aliases, including Chilkoot Sam, named for Chilkoot Trail. Sam pronounces it Chilikoot. And Square Deal Sam and 14 Karat Rabbit, Riff Raff Sam and Sahara Hare, Sam Schultz and Big House Bunny, Seagoing Sam and Buccaneer Bunny, Shanghai Sam and Mutiny on the Bunny, Von Schwarm in the Hessian in Bunker Hill Bunny, Baron Sam von Schramm in Dumb Patrol, Pancho Vanilla in Pancho's Hideaway, and many others. During the golden age of American animation, Yosemite Sam appeared as an antagonist in 33 animated shorts made between 1945 and 1964. So made about 20 years there. Let's look at some of his history here. Animator. So here's some of Sam's history here. Animator Fritz Frayling introduced the villain character in the 1945 cartoon Hair Trigger. With his grumpy demeanor, fiery temper, strident voice, and short stature, in two early gags in Hair Trigger, a train he is attempting to rob passes right over top of him, and he has to use a set of portable stairs to get to his horse. In Bugs Bunny Rides Again, he rides a miniature horse. Along with his fiery red hair, Sam was in some ways a caricature of Frayling. While he often denied any intentional resemblances in the Looney Tunes Golden Classics, surviving members of the production crew assert, and the director's daughter acknowledges, that Sam definitely was inspired by Frayling. Frayling himself even said in an interview with the Associated Press that, quote, "I have the same temperament. I'm small and I used to have a red mustache, unquote. Other influences were Red Skelton character Sheriff Deadeye and Tex Avery and the Tex Avery cartoon Dangerous Dan McFoo. When he does a slow burn and cries, "Ooh!" He borrows a bit from such comedic character actors like Jimmy Finlayson, a frequent foil to Laurel and Hardy, and Frank Nelson, one of Mel Blanc's co-stars in the Jack Benny program. Frayling, also called the terrible tempered Mr. Bang, a character in the Tunaville Trolley comic strip, as an influence in his memoir Chuck Amuck, The Life and Times of an Animated Cartoonist. Chuck Jones says that a great uncle who occasionally visited his family was a retired Texas sheriff who was short, had red hair, a large mustache, and a hair trigger temper. But no beard, unlike Sam. Unparenthesed. Michael Maltese originally considered calling the character Texans Tiny, Wyoming Willie, and Denver Dan, but then settled on the final name of Yosemite Sam. And again, feel free to comment and or ask questions if anything here grabs your attention. Also, if you haven't already, if you can like and share the stream, see if we can get some more friendly people to engage, that'd be appreciated. Also, if anything, well, we all went all through that already. Just did it in reverse there. Anyways, back to the article. Other characters with Sam-like features appear in several Looney Tunes shorts. The Bugs Bunny entry Super Rabbit, 1943, features the cowboy character Cottontail Smith, quote-unquote, whose voice is similar to Sam's. Stage Door cartoon, 1944, however, features a Southern sheriff character that looks and sounds similar to Sam, except for a more defined Southern accent, Southern stereotype to his voice. In a Daffy Duck cartoon, Along Came Daffy, 1947, Daffy has to contend with two starving hermits resembling Yosemite Sam, one with red hair and one with black hair. Oh yeah, I do remember that one. I just watched that recently, in fact. Finally, Pancho's Hideaway, 1964, features a Mexican villain who is designed much like Sam, but has a different accent. In addition, in the 1949 Chuck Jones directed cartoon Mississippi Hare, Bugs Bunny battles with an old pistol-toting gambler called Colonel Shuffle, one whose role could have easily been portrayed by Sam. Let's see. Frayling created Yosemite Sam to be a more formidable adversary for Bugs Bunny. Till then, Bugs' major foe had been Elmer Fudd, a man so mild-mannered and good-natured that Frayling thought Bugs actually came off as a bully by duping him. Oh boy. Even though Elmer was generally the aggressor in most cases, trying to hunt bugs. Sam, on the other hand, was extremely violent and belligerent, not at all a pushover like Fudd. Frayling compacted into a tiny body in an 11-gallon hat. The largest voice and the largest ego, north, south, east, and west of the Pecos. Unquote. For over 19 years, except for one cartoon, Arabian Nights, in 1959, Frayling's unit had exclusive usage of Sam at the Warner studio. Though officially a cowboy, Frayling puts Sam in different costume in almost every film. A knight, a Roman legionary, a pirate, a royal cook, a prison guard, and a duke. Duke of Yosemite, no less, parentheses there, a Hessian mercenary, a Confederate soldier, a mountain climber climbing the Schmatterhorn mountain in Switzerland, a henpecked house husband, and even a space alien. The humor of the cartoons inevitably springs from the odd miscasting of the hot-tempered cowboy. However, some countries seem to prefer his pirate incarnation, as Sam the Pirate is his official name in France, and a frequent alternative name in Italy. While Sam's basic character is that of a cowboy, he usually wears a black domino mask, or just a wide black outline on the other sides of his eyes, unquote, to show that he is an outlaw. This is so associated with his persona that he wears the mask even when dressed as a duke, a riff, a pirate, or a Viking. I'm going to need to step away from the computer again for a moment. I'll be right back. Oh, hey, Metal! So, the appointment that was going to make the house unavailable today has been possibly moved back to Sunday. There's a chance I won't make it. Oh, boy. There was someone I could swap with. I would probably make things smoother for everyone. Well, let me get back to. I'll look into that. Maybe I'll look into that. Because usually I could probably get maybe Rick or Sabrina. Let me, but I'll need to check that maybe after the show here. And then so I'll check on that maybe after the show, and then I'll contact you about that. But I do need to step away from the camera for a moment. I'll be right back. I'm gonna put some music on to entertain you while I'm gone. I'm back. So, anyways. You messaged me about it later. Just thought I would tell you now since it just came. All right. Well, thank you for letting me know. So I said I'll look into that probably right after the show here. Um, you know what might be funny if I do, let's say, get you switched out to next week. The interesting thing would be is that if, let's say, you and Rick switch, this week for next week, it would actually line you up to where the next time after next week, a month away, um, unless of course another change was necessary, what have you, um, line you up to be with me when I'm doing Street Smith and Shadow Comics, and of course there would be Shadow Comics to be read that week. I've already looked into it, and I know you like Shadow Comics, so that might actually end up being a very interesting scenario. But um, let's get back to this. Let me see if I can at least finish up the history of Yosemite Sam here. So, all right. So Sam is significantly tougher and more aggressive than Elmer Fudd when challenging Bugs Bunny. He is also quicker to learn from his mistakes and rarely falls for the same ploy twice. But despite Sam's bluster, he does not prove much brighter than Elmer in his encounters with Bugs. His noise contrasts to the calmly cocky rabbit. Sam's own cockiness always gets the best of him. Bugs can see he is incapable of hunting down or turning down a challenge. Um, every time Bugs dares Sam to step across that line, quote unquote, he cannot help but do so, even if he steps off into empty space or down a mine shaft. Yosemite Sam was depicted without six-gun pistols in Looney Tunes cartoons on the streaming service HBO Max. The series executive producer and showrunner Peter Blomgart said the character could still continue to use cartoon violence such as dynamite and acne-related paraphernalia. However, the change appears to have been reversed, as he is once again depicted using his pistols in Space Jam: A New Legacy 2021. All right. So that's all of the history of Sam right there. Let's see. We're at the whatever works out, if anything can. All right. So, anyways, so now we're up to like the 41-minute mark. So we covered quite a bit of Semi Sam here tonight. So I think it is a good time to now start moving on to the wrestling wrap up. As of course we're going to look back to last night's go home edition of Impact, as well as Ring of Honor. Look ahead to tonight's SmackDown, and then also look ahead to this weekend's like AEW Collision and also by extension the two pay-per-views. You get the final card sets for TNA's Rebellion and AEW's Dynasty. So first up, we are going to start out here. Going to start out by looking back to last night's Ring of Honor show, coming from the WJCT studios in Jacksonville, Florida. Caprice Coleman and Ian Riccaboni commentary on ringofhonorwrestling.com. So the opening match saw RPG Vice of Trent Beretta and Rocky Romero defeating the team of the Mighty Don't Kneel duo of Shane Hayes and Mikey Nichols in 11 minutes 5 seconds. Leo Rush defeated Nathan Cruz in just under 6 minutes. In just under 3 minutes, Josh Woods defeated Matt Menard in a Pure Rules match. Commander defeated Soleil in 9 minutes 1 second. In an 8-man tag match, the Bang Bang Gang duo of Ace Austin and Juice Robinson teamed with the Von Erichs and Marshall and Ross Von Erich to defeat Shane Taylor Promotions of Pure Champion Lee Moriarty, and of course the Ring of Honor World 6-man Tag Champions, the Infantry of Carly Bravo and Sean Dean and Shane Taylor. AR Fox defeated Action Andretti in just under 17 minutes. The Inspiration, Cassie Lee and Jesse McKay, defeated the team of Frankie B and Viva Vaughn in 2 minutes 55 seconds, or just under 3 minutes. Another tag team match, the Rascals duo of Desmond Xavier and Zachary Wentz defeated the team of the Workhorsemen of JD Drake and Anthony Henry. In a proving ground match, Nick Wayne was able to successfully fend off the challenge of Alex Reynolds in 6 minutes 16 seconds in a match in which, if Reynolds had lasted the time limit or even won the match, would have earned himself a shot at the Ring of Honor World Television title. And the main event saw Eddie Kingston Ortiz defeat the tag team of Jordan Oliver and Alec Price. That happened on Ring of Honor last night. So now let's move on to TNA Impact. As I said, last night's show was and mind you, I haven't actually seen any of the highlights. But I did read some stuff here. So on last night's Impact, coming from the Hilario Center in Westwego, Louisiana, with Tom Hannafin and Matthew Rainwalt on commentary, Tasha Steele joining them at one point. So in her last match with TNA before having asked for a relief, Danny Luna falls to Jada Stone defeated Danny Luna 10 minutes 47 seconds. Frankie Kazarian defeated BDE, Brenda's Everything, 3 minutes 43 seconds. Elena Black defeated Mila Grace in 3 minutes 23 seconds. The main event saw the Hardys, Jeff and Matt Hardy, defeat the Righteous in a tag team table match with, of course, the Hardys putting Dutch through a table first, then Vincent putting Matt through a table, and then finishing off with Jeff putting Vincent in a table. Also, the show saw, and I don't know the circumstances, but apparently saw Santino Marella and Indy Hartwell both get suspended by TNA management. Again, don't know what for, but that's just something I read in terms of some of the reports I saw. All right, so now moving on, of course, in looking ahead with TNA to Saturday, to tomorrow, as they will be having a pay-per-view tomorrow. Rebellion, coming from Cleveland, Ohio, First off, on YouTube, the Countdown to Rebellion will be on YouTube tomorrow from the Wolstein Center at Cleveland State University in Cleveland, Ohio. And no matches have been announced for that yet. But the card for the main show is already, I know, it's pretty much finalized from what I understand. On the main show, opening up, there will be a 6-woman tag match as the Elegance brand of Ash, Heather, and M by Elegance will be taking on the Knockouts Legends trio of Mickey James, ODB, and Taryn Terrell. Special Agent Zero of Order 4 fame will be taking on Moose. Nick Nemeth is set to take on AJ Francis. Frankie Kazarian, the match set up on last week's Impact, will be taking on Elijah. Leon Slater defends the X Division title against the System's Cedric Alexander. Trey Miguel defends the TNA International title against Order 4's Mustafa Ali. The Hardys, coming off of their tables match, Jeff and Matt will be defending the TNA World Tag Team titles against Bear Bronson and Brian Myers of the System. Lei Ying Lee will get her one-on-one singles rematch for the Knockouts World title as Ariana Grace defends the Knockouts World title against Lei Ying Lee. And Mike Santana will be defending the TNA World title against Eddie Edwards, who is, of course, cashing in his Feast or Fire briefcase to challenge Mike Santana for the TNA World title. So now we'll go back to tonight, looking ahead to tonight's SmackDown. As soon as I pull up. As, of course, we're a little over a week away from WrestleMania. As on tonight's SmackDown, as soon as I find that information. As they continue to build towards, of course, they continue to build towards next week's WrestleMania. WWE will be hosting Friday Night SmackDown on the USA Network from the SAP Center at San Jose. The only match that's confirmed is Royce Keys is set to challenge a mystery opponent on tonight's show. There will, of course, be more. There'll probably be more matches to be announced as they are continuing to build towards WrestleMania. We'll see what's all going down. But it does look like or at least what some people were saying was that the card has been finalized, but I guess we'll wait and see. So that's on. So now let's go ahead and take a look at tomorrow night's Collision, and that will be the go-home Collision before Sunday's Dynasty pay-per-view. On tomorrow night's Collision, coming from the Rogers Place in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, as part of AEW's Canadian tour, Kazuchika Okada is set to defend the international title against Myron Reed of the Rascals. In tag team action, the Hurt Syndicate make their first appearance in a couple of months here, as Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley with MVP in their corner will be taking on the team of Andy Anderson and Mo Jabari. In a shot for the number 2 spot in the Casino Gauntlet to challenge for the vacated TNT title, Rush is set to take on Anthony Bowens. In tag team action, former AEW Women's World Champions Hikaru Shida and Chris Statlander team up to take on the team of Ava Lawless and Gigi Ray. Another tag team match. Current AEW Women's Champion Tekla teams with the Death Riders Marina Shafir to take on the Brawling Birds, Jamie Hayter and Alex Windsor in a prelude to their upcoming matches, and we'll get to that in a moment here. You mentioned last night. The Young Bucks of Matt and Nick Jackson take on the Don Callis family members of El Clone and Hechicero, and in the main event, we'll see in a match the AEW World Trios titles. Team of Jet Speed, of Speedball Mike Bailey, the Jet Kevin Knight, and Mystico are set to defend the titles against the Dogs of Clark Connors, David Finlay, and Gabe Kidd. And finally, to wrap up the wrestling wrap-up, looking ahead, of course, to Sunday's Dynasty pay-per-view. Of course, first off, there'll be the 0 hour portion of it, the pre-show, as Dynasty will be taking place at Rogers Arena in Vancouver, British Columbia. On the 0 hour pre-show, Alex Windsor of the Brawling Birds will be taking on the Death Riders Marina Shafir in a singles match. And then as we get to the main card of the show, of the Dynasty pay-per-view, also taking place so they were in for Wednesday and Saturday here, they were Rogers Arena, and then Rogers Place, now they're in Rogers Arena. Go figure. So now the card for Dynasty is as follows. Chris Jericho is set to take on former AEW National Champion Ricochet. Chris Jericho, former AEW World Champion. The Young Bucks are set to take on the Don Callis family members of Kazuchika Okada and Inosuke Takeshita. Tommaso Ciampa is set for the TNT title Kino Gauntlet match. We'll find out later who else will be involved in that match. Tekla defends the AEW Women's World title against Jamie Hayter, renewing their old rivalry. Andrade El Idolo of the Don Callis family takes on Darby Allin in a match in which, if Darby wins, will have earned a shot at the AEW World Championship. John Moxley will defend the Continental title against Will Ospreay. The match that was originally going to be just a normal match, but Will Ospreay was able to goad Moxley into making it a title match. FTR of Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler with Stokely in their corner defend the titles against Cage and Cope, Christian Cage and Adam Copeland, looking to further cement their legendary careers as a tag team. And then in a match for the AEW World title, MJF will defend against Kenny Omega. So that's all we have for the wrestling wrap-up. So now, with today being Friday, April the 10th, 2026, let's take a look back at this day in Nietzsche history. History! 1956. $2021, 2006, and of course, 1996. All right. So first up, we're going to head back 70 years ago. As on this date 70 years ago, back in 1956, the 65th issue of Patsy Walker from Marvel, known at the time as Bard Publishing Corporation, went on sale on its date back in 1956 as a bi-monthly title. Sold for 10 cents, 32 pages, among basically with Patsy Walker featured in 3 of the stories, Hetty Wolf in another, so 5 stories in all. But the 65th issue of Patsy Walker went on sale on this date 70 years ago. Now, moving on to the year 1996. On this date in the year 1996, AIC's OVA, Burn Up W, was released on this date back in 1996, 30 years ago today. AIC's OVA, Burn Up W, was released on this date back in 1996. Burn Up W is a 1996 anime OVA directed by Hiroshi Negishi. It was soon followed by a series version called Burn Up Excess, though it occasionally lacks continuity with the series. The OVA consists of 4 episodes chronicling Team Warrior through more missions. Alright, so there we go with that. Patsy is great. Shame they ruined her and made her Hellcat. She was much better before that. So you thought she was probably better more as just not a superhero, I take it. But anyways, we get ready to move on to the next piece of niche history here. Let's see. We move on to the year 2006, 20 years ago today. On this date, 20 years ago today, premiering on Noggin Nick Jr. channel on this date 20 years ago today, Sesame Workshop's Pinky Dinky Doo premiered on Noggin. Pinky Dinky Doo is an animated children's television series created by Jim Jenkins. It was produced and co-owned by Jenkins Cartoon Pizza and Sesame Workshop. The series was produced in association with Discovery Kids Latin America and Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. For the second season, Abrams Gentile Entertainment and Canadian studio K-Frame Digital Production joined the production companies. Each episode follows an imaginative pink-haired girl named Pinky Dinky Doo, her younger brother Tyler, and their pet, Mr. Guinea Pig, as she makes up her own stories. Alrighty then, so that was 20 years ago. And finally, as we move ahead to the year 2021, as the year 2021, of course, at night 1 of that year's WrestleMania 5 years ago, following championships changed hands as on night 1 of WrestleMania 37 5 years ago today. AJ Styles almost defeated the New Day's Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods to become the new WWE Raw Tag Team Champions. Also, Bianca Belair defeated Sasha Banks to become the WWE SmackDown Women's Champion. So that's all we got for you. So I was going to say, of course, that Metal was going to join me, but we don't know yet. I guess we might have to look into changing that around a bit. But Sunday we will be of course, continuing our trip down Comics History Lane, as we will be looking at comics that went on sale in August of 1940. We'll be looking at comics that went on sale from Fiction House. So with that, hopefully we can, but we'll figure out who will be joining me, hopefully soon enough. But with that, I thank everybody for being here, and I hope to see everybody back here on Sunday. Bye.